Coming up, we'll revisit long-term care homes in this province as COVID-positive staff force some residents to stay locked inside their rooms. We'll discuss the province's new vaccine mandate with a panel after this. Ontario has become the first province in Canada to mandate COVID-19 immunization policies for staff at long-term care homes. But that, in fact, doesn't mean everyone has to be vaccinated. By July 1st, each staff member must either provide proof of vaccination, a documented medical reason for not being vaccinated, or participate in an educational program on the benefits of vaccines.
To discuss this, let's welcome back to CP24 tonight Dr. Doris Grinspun, CEO of the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario, and Nick Pupolo, chair of the Woodbridge Vista Vaughan Family Council, who's been advocating for air conditioning for his mother and the other residents at the Sienna Senior Living Home. Nick, how is your mother doing? The last time we spoke, she couldn't leave her room because staff who were tested positive for COVID-19 forced residents to stay in their rooms.
Yes, we're still in lockdown. And of course, we've got a bit of a heat wave coming on this weekend. So we're going to have to wait and see how warm her room gets.
Are you making any headway at all, Nick? I mean, this is 2 or 3 weekends in a row now.
Well, as I said, they have the work order in place to get the permanent air conditioning installed. But according to the Ministry of Health, the workers cannot go in to do the work because they are in lockdown.
Dr. Grinspun, we heard from Sienna Senior Living and we've heard from the ministry that the government and these companies can't mandate staff to get the vaccine. But how important is it for staff in these long-term care homes to be vaccinated?
Extremely important because the vulnerability of residents, even though most are fully vaccinated, is also extremely important for everyone in this province to get vaccinated. The way to do it is education, is bringing the vaccines to the home, much easier, not to expect that people will travel when most of the PSWs, as you know, they live in complex situations, and it's very difficult for them to take hours to go to a vaccination place. And also, of course, to understand from where they are coming so that we put the resources needed to make it easier for PSWs, which are the ones that for the most are having a bit of vaccine hesitancy. All in all, I think 60% of PSWs have been vaccinated in nursing homes. If we do make it easier, I do believe that the great majority will get vaccinated, which is fantastic for seniors. It's also fantastic for the PSWs and for nurses and others themselves and for their families and our communities.
It's interesting, Doris, you mentioned that vaccine hesitancy because the mandate sort of suggests, A, prove you've had the vaccine, B, prove why you can't, or C, sort of take an educational program and learn about vaccines. But that doesn't protect anybody. That just educates. Do you think that the idea of that C or third step is to, once you see the educational value of getting a vaccine, that it will encourage those vaccine hesitant PSWs to get their shot?
100%. Remember how much fear there was amongst Indigenous leaders that Indigenous people in their community will not get vaccinated. Over 90% actually got vaccinated because we did the right process. We engaged with the leaders. We brought the vaccines to them. We started where they are to understand their histories. It's very important to understand that people from racialized communities, it's not that they have vaccine hesitation just because. They have vaccine hesitation because, number one, they come from complex situations where in Black communities, in Indigenous communities, experimentations in their histories was done to them. It's not just far-fetched. So let's start where they are. Bring the vaccine to the homes. Let the nurses in the homes help with the vaccination versus strangers that they don't even know. And I believe that actually people will get vaccinated. We have had a great success in Ontario. Let's build on that success and let's not make it we and they. We are all one together.
The latest data from the government is 98% of long-term care residents in Ontario are fully vaccinated. 89% of staff have received at least one dose, and 66% are fully vaccinated, to your point, Dr. Grinspun. But, Nick, one person is all it takes to impact your mother and everyone else at the villa there, and so many families. Can you explain what it has been like for you, especially as we see the temperatures rising over the next week?
Yes, I mean, the families, we don't understand. You know, we understand that people have the right not to take the vaccine and workers have the right not to take the vaccine, but everybody's forgetting about the rights of the residents. I mean, we're the ones helping our families pay these bills. We're the customer, yet our rights and what we want doesn't matter because workers don't have to be vaccinated or are concerned or afraid to be vaccinated. They're still allowed in the building. And who suffers? The residents suffer. They're locked in the rooms. We've been in lockdown now since February, and it's difficult to go in and see your loved one because they're in lockdown, and it affects all the families and the residents. So again, I just don't understand. I get that they have the rights not to take the vaccine, but everybody's forgetting about the rights of all the residents in the homes. Listen, you bring your child to kindergarten, they're not allowed to come in unless you can show they've been immunized. I don't understand why the same does not occur in long-term care homes. If these workers are not vaccinated, they should not be allowed in the homes.
So, Nick, Sienna Senior Living, who runs the home that your mother is in, sent us some information about what they're doing, and they reiterated, like the government, they can't mandate staff to get a vaccine. But they did say that next week there's going to be a draw, so they're awarding prizes to any staff who have been vaccinated. They're in a draw for about $5,000 to $10,000. Is that motivating enough? What do you think of that, Nick?
I don't know I mean, for the staff, they're paid minimum wage pretty much. So I do believe they're underpaid, and this might assist in getting some of them vaccinated. But again, we're forgetting about the rights of the people who are in there, the people who pay the bills. They're not allowed to leave their rooms because people are allowed in the buildings that are not vaccinated. So yes, I get it that they can't force people to get vaccinated. But there should be something in there where they just say, listen, you can't come to work unless you can prove that you don't want to be vaccinated, or you've taken the course, you understand it, you have a doctor's note. And even then, I wouldn't allow them in the building because every time they walk in, we go into lockdown. Yeah.
Dr. Grinspan, I mean, isn't there any sort of humanitarian argument for getting residents that are locked in better access to cooling and something like this? I mean, you know, you're the head of the RNAO. You know, you represent nurses. Nurses try to take care of people. We know about the dehydration deaths in long-term care early in this pandemic. It's going to be cooking this weekend, temperature-wise. This almost seems unfair to leave people locked in like this.
Well, the level of discrimination that has happened in nursing homes has been ageism in mega proportions. And Sienna and all of them, for that matter, have been part of this ageism for years. I mean, we have been asking, as you know, for almost 2 decades, for work hours of RN, RPN, and PSW. We were the ones that pushed for a PPE that the homes were not given, and the same workers that now we are saying they must, instead of being together, we are now finger pointing at them. That's not going to be good. These are the workers, those PSWs, which I don't represent, by the way, are the ones that were with nurses day in and day out doing heroic work for these residents and for communicating with families. We need to be at this together, and the one to push is government. It's not the healthcare workers. It's government, and it's the owners of places like Sienna that, by the way, are for profit and have mega money in the bank to put their conditioning and should not have waited this long.
Well, we'll have to leave the conversation here, but we'll continue it here on CP24 tonight. Nick, Doris, thank you both for making time for us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And good wishes to your mother. We will continue to push.